in front of it. Okay.
Now, Kevin, you gonna tell us?
There's Oxford.
Oh yeah, I've heard that story. Yeah.
Okay, and so I'll tell this one too, but we start here, we start here.
Okay, so now we have just about done. The camera is rolling. We do editing, right? All that kind of stuff.
Now check this out.
The lighting is real bad.
It's picking, and mine's picking you up pretty good.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
There's get a lot more light on it. What about now?
Is this open? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is first Quintet on Philips Records. This was printed in Turkey.
One of my all-time favorite songs.
Good to see
I'll
you.
never forget. I was working at a radio station, and I was quite a bit younger back then. And I'm driving into work to sign the station on, listening to another station. Up comes Mendocino. And Hi, the Sir Douglas Quintet is back. We'd like to thank all of our friends and all that. Started playing. I thought, man, I love that. The Sir Douglas Quintet is back. And I was a happy camper. And of course, I saw the Sir Douglas Quintet back in 65 or 6.
Where'd you see
at
that?
a place in Breckenridge, Minnesota.
Okay.
And they were grooving and rocking, having a great time. I was playing in a band. We had opened up for the Castaways.
Oh,
Remember that?
yes. Liar, liar.
And in South Dakota, we got done with that and went over and listened to Sir Doug and Augie. Had a great time.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's a real rare poster of the 13th floor elevator Sir Doug's Quintet at the Avalon. Here's Doug's grave, our loving father. It's over there in Sunset on Austin Highway. This is a picture of them from a German TV show.
Let me ask you this. How did you get involved with this museum? Because this museum is a cool thing. You got everything there is to know about Sir Doug and Augie in here. How'd that happen?
Well, first off, when I was 6 years old in 1961, I was a record collector, and the first person I ever imitated was Bobby Rydell. I'm the wild one. I did that for all the neighborhood kids. I got into collecting records, and then in the 70s, late 70s, I bought out a jukebox distributor and a record shop, the Melody Shop, by the way, in a place called Robstown, Texas, where a good friend of mine, Mr. Duggar's from, and the guy I bought it from was Clint Forsman. I'd go there, I'd buy 45s for 50 cents a piece. Tell a bunch of Sir Doug out there too, because he had a jukebox distributor. I'd go there and be like 4 Mendocinos, 3 Crossroads, 2 Nuevo Laredos, but I'd buy every one of them. So anyway, one day, because I really need to sell all these records, he had them in all these big tire racks. There's about 40,000 records. I said, how much you want for me? He said, $2,000. I said, okay, I'll be back tomorrow in a couple of days. He said, okay. He didn't think I was going to come back, but I did. Then I sold all these records through Goldmine Record Magazine in the 70s and 80s, long before the internet, and set up at a flea market, Thunderbird in Corpus Christi, every weekend. Then I started my record label in 1980. And of course, all along, Augie was my first cousin, and being from San Antonio, and she's about a mover, a San Antonio English group has an international hit. You can't make that up.
What was the mood like in San Antonio back then? Because that was such a good song. Still is a good song. A lot of people have recorded that song, including Ringo Starr. But anyway, what was the mood in San Antonio with the local guys making it big like they did?
Well, it was definitely phenomenal because from a San Antonio band masquerading as an English band with 2 Mexicanos in it, Frank Maureen and Johnny Perez. I mean, they were playing in Manchester, England. They said, in fact, I have Sirius Radio and Herman's Society. He has a show, Pizza Noon. And he saw these guys in London. He said, these blokes ain't from England. These cats are from Texas. But he said on the radio, but they managed to score a few hits. And then they said backstage, Johnny Perez, they said, you're not from England. He goes, see.
Well, there's no way that Sir Doug or Augie could hide their Texas accents either.
No, you can't.
There's no way.
Because he's got that drawl.
Well,
It's not. He recorded that Police song, Every Step You Take. The way Doug sings it, he puts a Louis Primo arrangement to it. And I love Louis Primo.
Yeah.
Sam Butera, The Witnesses.
Yeah.
The Capitol Live albums, all-time classics. And Doug says, every step you take, I'll be washing you. Instead of watching you.
But you know, the Sir Doug, tell me this. The Sir Douglas Quintet, of course, before that, Little Doug, Augie had bands. But what is it about San Antonio music? It's a mixture of it all, and it just works so great. Sir Doug, Augie, Tornadoes, all of that stuff. And on their own, they all did good things, blues and everything. How do you define that San Antonio sound?
Okay, well, see, growing up in San Antonio, in fact, they grew up on the east side of town where I live at now. This is on the southeast side of town, off WWY. But Augie grew up at Houston Street in Walters because his mother and father had a grocery store and they lived upstairs. Across the street from there at Walters in Houston was a laundromat where Doug could come in with his family to wash clothes because he was right out here, right across the street on a country dirt road across the street from the Eastwood Country Club, where he would go listen to Little Willie John, all the black great players of that time, Guitar Slim, Percy Mayfield, everybody performed at Eastwood, and Doug would sit outside and listen to it. And then his uncle had a place with the great Charlie Walker. Pokes out of Charlie Walker. DJ had a song of the year with Pick Me Up on Your Way Home.
It's on K-Mac.
And they had a place called the Hayride, or the Hayloft over here on WWY, where Little Doug would open for Webb Pierce, Farron Young, Hank Williams. Everybody played there, and he would be the opening act. And so then he took the Mexican influence from the west side, the black blues from there, and the country influence, put it to a kind of a two-step with a backbeat, and She's About a Mover was born.
And that was a monster of the song. It's to this day still a good
Can we
song.
push pause a second? My song's skipping on the jukebox. Just pause. I hear it.
Okay, y'all, I tell you, go ahead and get in the place you want to.
Yeah, well, we'll start here.
Yeah, well,
Let's see here. Kevin, I'm not sure this thing is doing it right for you. You know what, let me ask you.
there's an old Antone's poster. Looks like from the Avalon or somewhere. Where's that from?
Well, Tom, I guess
Rolling
you obviously
Stone.
are a Sir Doug and Augie fan as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this is, they got the Big Brother and the Holding Company Sons Quintet.
Oh,
There's
let me
Doug with
get
his family.
Let me get back here. Okay, go ahead.
Let's get some of the pictures, not just us.
Yeah.
Here's Little Doug with his little Fender steel with Little Doug on it. Here's a show, Chuck Berry, Sir Douglas Quintet, Boss Gags at the Pepperland, tickets $250.
But you know, it seems to me it's very obvious that Doug Somm and Augie Meyers had a very, very big influence on music all around the country, around the world, including the Beatles.
Yeah, that She's a Woman.
Yeah.
They tried to do it like She's About to Move Her, get that backbeat.
Yeah.
And he was on the cover of Rolling Stone twice. There's his elementary school picture. Here's some of his original glasses. And over here is Little Doug. Here's a real good picture of Little Doug with all the old beer. That's his band. We're about 10.
That's great stuff. Now then,
Here's one CD I have out on my label. There, Doug up in heaven smoking a joint.
when the tornadoes came along,
Here we go.
We're gonna have to edit that out now, you know.
No, here it is. I bought this. I was down in Nuevo Laredo, and this was on the back of a magazine. Los Texas Tornadoes.
You know, when
Nominees for a Grammy, 1991, which they won.
you know, when the tornadoes come out, that was a phenomenal thing. Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, sure.
And such good musicians, and the music and the mixture, it was wonderful.
Well, back then in the 90s, I was doing 120 to 125, 150 shows a year. And Augie would call me. I was living out there in the country in Papalote in South Bee County. And I said, man, Augie, I'm doing almost 150 shows. He says, Kevin, we're doing 325 shows this year. But he says, we cheat because we play casinos. You know, in Vegas, you do 2 shows a day.
Yeah.
So, you know, they add up a lot quicker. There's a picture of him with that guy who used to like Bruce Springsteen until he became a bleeding heart millionaire liberal, nothing. Here's Doug's high school picture. They have this star form down in Corpus Christi here, Mr. Anderson. Mm-hmm. They have a Walk of Fame down there. They got Augie too. And if you get this down here, this is pretty cool. That's Lord August and the Visions of Light.
Now, they were on a label out of West Texas, I believe.
No, Harvey Kagan, who also played for bass for Doug for a few years. He just passed away in Austin a few years back. This is Denny Esba and the Goldens.
On Renner Records.
Yeah, on Renner Records. Denny had probably 30 singles out.
He was a math professor in later life.
And science professor.
Yeah.
That's a real cool one here.
Now, does Flacco still live is he in San Antonio?
Yeah. Here's Country Joe and the Fish, Grateful Dead, Spirit, and Sir Douglas Quintet. This is the book I wrote on him. Doug saw him, The Texas Tornado. That's a cover. I have this single out on my label, Will You Love Me Mañana by Sir Doug Saldana.
I heard it. It's a good version.
That's a good one, yeah.
This is autographed by the Tornadoes. There's Doug and Bob Dylan up there, and there's an album cover, The Four Aces. It's a real good tune.
Yes, it is.
This is old bumper sticker on my Doug head. And then over here is a real cool picture.
Let me get behind you over here.
There's old Denny Esma, Mary Diana. The 10 best Texas songs of all time. She's About to Move Her, number one.
Better believe it.
Number one. There's Willie and Doug. Short, he just started growing his hair. Here's Augie in the 50s with his pompadour. Then we have, of course, Nolan Ryan here because Doug was a real baseball freak.
And this album was a lot of good. If that's the same album, he did like Buzz, Buzz, Buzz on there and all that sort of thing, didn't
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this one was jukebox music.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that Buzz, Buzz, Buzz.
Goes to Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's little Doug with his band. Doug playing the fiddle. And this is real cool here. This picture was in, this is on the back of Together After Five. It was taken when they were in Switzerland playing, in Zurich. Of course, we have to have Frank. This is a sax player, Rocky Morales, who was great, founder of the West Side Horns. There's Doug, Bobby Blue Bland, Johnny Winter, Buddy Holly. Then over here, this is when Doug turned Bob Dylan on the pot. That's Al Cooper. There's Doug playing the steel. Here's Doug and Rocky. Here, Neil Young, Al Jardino, the Beach Boys, and Doug.
Oh,
Get him in?
well, hey.
She just, I love it. Your wife just had to get in the video. Augie Meyers, no telling who's going to show up at the Sir Douglas Museum.
Well,
Well, there's no picture.
Come on over here. Go over there. I want to introduce you to Craig Anderson.
of all people, it's
Craig
good to show
Anderson,
up at
this
the
is
Sir
Augie
Douglas
Meyers.
Museum. Augie, Mr. Myers.
How you doing,
Nice
sir?
to meet you, August. How are you?
KWEL Radio.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
I-
Augie. Been a big fan for a long time, and the music that you and Doug put together, and you put together a lot of good things all by your own darn self, too.
Yeah, it was fun,
And
man.
how did it all start?
One day.
Long time
A
ago.
long time ago.
But you and Doug got along together. You played a lot of music together.
Yes.
The Quintet, Tornadoes, and a lot of other stuff.
But them are our two biggest groups that we had, you know.
But we were talking about this earlier when the Quintet hit. The people in San Antonio must have been pretty proud of that.
They were, but when we got busted, one of the DJs on KTSA radio said, "Them were my boys, but they not no more." And he broke our records from the radio.
Oh, he did. How about the Tornadoes? When the Tornadoes were a monster group. They certainly had to appreciate the Tornadoes.
They did. But I just met somebody the other day, last week, and she's 28 or 29. I said, "You ever heard of the Texas Tornadoes?" She said, "No." And she said, "What songs they have?" I said, "Hey, baby, kep-pa-so." Oh, I've heard that, but they didn't. She don't remember the name of the bands,
But the music, and you've won Grammys. You've been in movies. You have appeared in some episodes with the Monkees. That's pretty cool stuff.
Remember the group, the Mod Squad?
Yes.
I used to be a extra for the TV show.
Yeah.
I did the Mod Squad. That girl,
Uh-huh.
Marla Thomas, with her back in those days. The Monkees, some bunch of shows. One day I'd be a plumber. The next day I was an electrician. Next day I was a musician.
Augie, how'd you learn to play keyboards?
Well, I started out when I was with I lived with my grandparents for 10 years because I couldn't walk. I had polio. And they taught Polish, and I taught Polish till I was 12 years old, I guess, 10, 11.
But zdrowie.
Jak si most, dobrze, And my grandfather had this black guy that worked in the fields with him. Well, he'd get on the wagon, take me up to his house, about a quarter of a mile down the road. But he had a piano. They tied my leg. I still have the rope tie my leg to the piano leg. And I had a pie pan with sandwich and a jar of water. And I just learned to play piano. And Grandpa listened to the market report in the morning with Henry Guerra in the ranch report. And they would play music in the meantime. My grandmother's, Yes, Maria. The drunk people, it's 5:30 in the morning, singing already. They must be drunk. They've been drinking all night long. And I said, yeah. But I listen to music, and then they take me up there when they work in the fields, and I learned to play piano. I learned to play piano by ear, and I wore that one out.
Augie, what was the musical influence for you growing up? It must have been a little bit of everything. Polkas, blues, rock.
I loved it all. But there was when I went to live with my parents when I was 13, moved in with them. Across the street, every Friday and Saturday, this bus would pull up. These people would get out and drink beer and sing and get in the bus and leave. 1 or 2 in the morning, they'd come back. And that's my mom wanted. She said, that's a band. I said, that's what I want to do, Mom. I want to laugh, drink beer, and sing, play music. And that's what I did.
Now, did your mom endorse that? Did she think that was okay?
Yeah, she liked it. She loved Little Richard. And when she see me playing, I said, anybody got any requests out there? She said, she'd stand up and say, I'll play Little Richard, Tutti Frutti. And I said, sit down, lady, you're drunk. She said, I'm not drunk, that's my son.
Now, when you guys hit it big, that must have been a tremendous feeling for you, Doug, and everybody. She's about a mover, obviously.
You know, we only got half of we were getting $2,500, $4,000 a night back then. But we only got half our money. Huey took the other to save it for us. And so that money we had to buy the hotel room, pay the gas in the car, pay our food and everything, and our motel, you know, on the way, and our drugs and whatever the hell we wanted while we're on the road. And when we got back home after playing, we said, you should have a lot of money for us. He said, what do you mean I threw that party for you in Atlanta, Georgia? Then I throw a big party with all them women in New York for you? Yeah, but where's our money to go home? And we didn't have to borrow money and get for the Western Union. And I sent $100 back. Doug would send $100 back for family to buy milk and food.
I've heard the stories about musicians who do pretty well, make it pretty big, have the records on the radio and everything, they get screwed. Obviously,
we did it back in the days. In tornadoes, we didn't. I'm not going to brag or tell you, but we made big money with the tornadoes, you know. And some of us them saved. I always save for a rainy day. I still save, you know. When I worked with my mom in the grocery store, I got $10 a week. I had to give her $5 back for room and board.
Good deal.
And I made $5.
Now, Augie, when the tornadoes hit it big and the quintet and everything, your mom must have been proud of that.
She was. She was getting up there. My dad died. My dad never got to see me play.
Never did.
I told him one time, I said, I'm playing Friday and Saturday at Austin Highway. Why don't you come out and see me? He said, I drove by there. There's nobody there. I said, when did you go? He said, Thursday. I said, I'm another Friday and Saturday. My dad was hard of hearing. So he said, I didn't go. I'm sorry.
Anyway. Can I ask you a question? Do you still have my father's holy card with you?
What?
My father's holy card. When he
Yes,
died.
I got it.
Oh, okay. This guy, you know, my parents, see, growing up, he used to babysit me when I was 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't remember it, but my older brothers and sisters would tell me that.
Does that explain the behavior?
What, that we're both crazy?
Yeah.
No.
Not Augie, but you.
No, but anyway, growing up, my mother and Betty and Sonny, his uncle, they never called him Augie. He was always Junior because his father was Gus because he's August. And if he's got an album out on Sonnet, which I got from Barrett and gave to you, August in New York, and they have the skyline behind you on Sonnet. Remember, I got you that. Because Augie doesn't have a lot of his own recordings that he put out, you know. But he's got so many of them out on so many labels. That's why collecting, especially Sir Douglas Quintet, they're on 20 different labels practically.
This guy told me a couple years ago, hey man, I bought your 45 from you, and I bought it at a pawn shop for a nickel. I said, that guy made more money than I did. That was my Chicken Shack 4-track.
That was at Bulverde?
Yeah, that's Bulverde.
That's Chris Hall's
house. This is OD, Jack Barber, and Jim on drums, and David Zettner in the back.
Now I remember this album cover. Is that a real jackass?
No. Did you ever see Kep-pa-so?
Yeah.
The movie?
Yeah.
That's a horse with Lee Marvin. That's the horse. That horse made $185.
That's a horse that looks like a jackass to me.
What are you trying to feed it?
A joint. See that joint? It's a joint.
That's where was that taken?
In California.
California, that's a great album cover.
I remember I saw this show with Augie and I was too stupid to ask. He opened for Jimmy Reed at Liberty Hall in Houston. And he had the big guy Bob Height from the Canned Heat playing harmonica with him that night. And he was back room and he had this little old guitar sitting on a stool that had a Jaguar finger thing. And I said, this is my hero. And you got pictures of him. You were smart.
Let me tell you something. When I was 15 years old, I drove all the way on my motor scooter to Houston, Texas, to Jimmy Menudez's place to see Jimmy Reed.
Baby, what you want me to do?
Yeah, and they wouldn't let me in because I was too young, but I stayed by the back door, and when he came out, I said, Jimmy, Augie Meyers, boom, 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 boom. And I said, I've got all your albums. More eyes, you're nice. I'll talk to you all. Okay? And then years later, at Liberty Hall in Houston, Texas, he was there again, and I opened the show for him.
Did he remember?
Huh?
Did he
yes,
remember?
Yes. And we stayed 4 or 5 days in the same hotel, and every day we played guitar together. And he told me so many stories. He said one time, I said, tell me a story, Jimmy. He said one time I got $5,000, and I had this bitch, and I had my bottle, and we went to my room. He said I had my bottle there, and we played guitar and just had fun. And I woke up in the morning, the bitch was gone, my guitar was gone, the bottle was empty, and my $5,000 was gone. I said, Jimmy, how many times that happened? He went, too many. I'll never forget that story.
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah, he was a great dude.
Now, you have influenced a lot of people. You have played with a lot of people. The Beatles wanted to capture that sound that you got with that Vox Continental. They were playing Voxes. Voxes didn't have reverb, right?
Right. They came to the show called Ready, Steady, Go. And John Lennon and George and Paul came in and to see how we got it. They played more, and I said, man, we can't believe this thing with that amp. They didn't have Fender super reverbs. And the next 4 days later, there's nothing, all the music stores, nothing but, they bought like 8 of them for themselves. You know, we sit in the back, got high with all those guys. They were mainlining back in those days.
Tell me about this. This is you and Mike Smith of the Dave Clark 5 back in January of '65.
Yeah.
And how'd that come about?
Well, we opened the show for them, and then Doug played, and then Dave Clark 5. They weren't going to play because their organ broke. And so I said, I got a box organ. I said, no, we got an English one. I said, they went to our green room, and it was playing this Coliseum. And they went in the green room, and they saw it, and they said, he got a fucking bloody Vox organ. So they used my organ. They wanted in Dallas the next day. I said, no, I got a gig. They said, have breakfast in the morning. And I've got other pictures with me and Mike's wife, and my son was only 4 or 5 years old. He was 4 then. And we were signing autographs in the Gunner Hotel.
Oh, it's at the Gunner, okay. And then tell me about when you and Doug met, because I love Bobby Darin and Sandra Dee. Now tell me when you told me that you had met Bobby.
Oh yeah, Bobby came down, we did a KWEL radio and television, and we had the #1 record for like 14 weeks. And Doug used to get mad at me because during the day, on Friday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I was at what's that college over there in the North Hollywood College. I would do sell free press, sell it for $0.25, and out of that I got a dime. And that day we were going, Doug said, man, you don't need to be doing that. We got the #14 record for 14 weeks in town. But I was making maybe $150 a week, which was good, you know, for selling all these. I sell maybe 600 free press, man. I stand on the corner with holes in my pants. Don't leave me depressed. Buy my free press. And they give me a 50-cent piece. In this pocket, I had change. In this pocket was all the 50-cent piece. But anyway, they called Bobby Darin down to us and said he always liked Mover, and so he came down in a Jeep. Came in a Jeep and sat down and got high with us. We sit out in the back lot of the television place.
We were talking about this earlier, but She's About the Mover just got such a great, when you hear it, you just want to get up, man.
He arranged all the horn arrangements. Doug did too. He arranged all the horn arrangements, did everything on his songs.
But you know, when you play keyboards, I love to watch you because you got that. I don't know how you do it, but you got that arm going, and it looks so cool the way I'll see how you do it.
This is when Augie got married to his beautiful wife Sarah. I was part of the wedding. That was back in '95, right?
Yeah.
It's right after R.W. passed away.
a little bit heavier back in those days.
So here this, we just opened a show for the Beach Boys. This was in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, this was a good one
That's me and
here.
Doug.
Yeah.
And here's Jerry Wexler. He was vice president. He discovered Wilson Pickett signed the Coasters, Bobby Darin, Wilson Pickett, Aretha Franklin, the Coasters, man. They should have got Academy Awards for acting because they were great.
Let me tell you, Jerry Wexler loved Doug and loved me. I mean, he's always said, y'all two boys are my boys. And when Jan Weiner from the Rolling Stone magazine wanted to put us, me and Doug, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
That's what I was going to ask you too.
Jerry said, yes, but we got a problem. This little motherfucker right here, that's Sean Song. He vetoed it. He said, I want my dad in there. Augie was just a hired hand.
Horseshit.
Huh?
That's horseshit.
Yeah.
I'll say it loud and proud. Horse shit.
You know, so
How many times when you're on stage have you heard from Doug Somm and others, but Doug Somm, oh, play it, Augie.
Yeah.
How many times? Every time.
Well,
Play it, Augie. Play
in
it,
fact,
Augie.
the song, he
You
just,
tell me that Doug Somm didn't love this man,
Oh, yeah.
and you tell me that they don't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'll kiss you.
Jan Weiner said, Sean told Jerry Wexler and Jan Weiner, he said, I don't want Augie, he's a hard hand, I just want my dad in there. He was the main man. And Jerry Wexler and Jan Weiner said, we either both go in or neither one of them going in. And Sean said, put my dad in. He said, no, not without Augie. And
He realized that at least.
No, he don't.
No, not Sean.